Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a safe place for leading with your heart. Hey, thanks for being here. You, Me, Empathy is the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective, a collaborative mental health community designed to empower each of us to grow our capacity for empathy, vulnerability, and emotional wayfinding. Just a friendly reminder that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. No one is just a silly boy with a feely heart. You can support the show by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts, following us on social media at Yumi Empathy and Feely Human, and joining the Feely Human Collective community at feelyhuman.co. And now your host, Known Wells.
Hello, Feely Humans. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, Empathy. My name is Known Wells. I am the creator of this show. I'm also the founder of the Feely Human Collective at feelyhuman.co. Go check it out. We got some cool stuff over there. Let's see, what's coming up? June 19th, I'm doing an online empathy workshop. You can sign up for that, feelyhuman.co. June 29th, I believe, or 26th, we're doing a Feely Hikes in Orange County. Check that out at feelyhuman.co. This is episode 227 on being useful in our empathy. With my guest, Stephanie Wittels Wachs, we explore the messy human capacity we have for simultaneously feeling like we want to burn it all down, feeling overwhelmingly sad, and feeling like we need to keep fighting. All at once, we feel those feelings. We're multitude containers, us human wild meat sacks, and we have a puppy crying in the background, and I'm just going to power through, because that's what we do as humans. We power through. We're capitalist machines. We just got to keep crushing and doing and checking all the boxes, because we're the best. Anyhoozles, I love this episode. In a moment, you'll hear the first 6 minutes from the Last Day show, the Last Day podcast from Stephanie and Lemonada Media. I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, this episode, we also talk about gun control. We talk about starting a company from a place of grief and desperation, which is Lemonada Media. And like I said, wanting to be truly useful in our empathy. And what does that look like, right? We also talk about, because we recorded this the day after the leaked SCOTUS draft on the abortion bans. We talked about that, our feelings. Stephanie shared some personal experiences with that. And then we talk about gun control and gun violence. So Lemonada is a podcast network I cherish and love. They put out a bunch of amazing shows. One of which is called Last Day, and it's latest season 3. They discuss gun violence, and it's a hard listen, and it's essential listening. It'll break your heart, and I think it'll put it back together, because it's truly founded and rooted in empathy. The show is. Stephanie even explained to me in this conversation that she went into it with some armor and defensiveness, and understandably, right? Wanting to I'm going to change their minds, right? Or I'm going to prove them wrong. And the reality is it's always a little bit more complex and nuanced than that, right? Really loved this conversation with Stephanie. She is a gem, as are all the people at Lemonada and the people who produce the show Last Day. So you'll hear in a moment the first 6 minutes of last week's latest episode of Last Day, and in it they do a little moment of silence for the folks, the people impacted by the shootings in Uvalde, Texas, and Buffalo, New York. Horrifying. My heart breaks. I feel so much rage and anger for the world right now. And I, again, want to be useful in my empathy. I don't want to shut down. I don't want to burn it all down as much as I feel like I want to sometimes. I want to be useful. I want to keep moving the needle, right? In whatever way we can, right? So listen to this conversation. I think it's pretty great, and it might give you some tips in that arena. So Last thing I'll say is, again, go to feelyhuman.co. Check out what we got going on over there. We have a Feely Hikes coming up at the end of June. We have the online Illustrating Empathy workshop also in June. Check that out, feelyhuman.co. Give us a follow on the grams at feelyhuman and at YouMeEmpathy. And please leave a rating and review of this podcast. Truly, it does help out the show. I've been asking, nay, begging for months to see if we can get to 200 ratings, and we're not even there. We're only at 180. I think we can do 20 more. Let's do it. Come on, collective effort, go team, we got this. Okay, let's get to the first 6 minutes of last episode, and then my conversation with Stephanie Wittels Wachs right now.
La la la, you, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Hi everyone. I am checking in with you because it has been a very, very difficult couple of weeks where we literally could not keep up with horrifying news involving guns in America. I want you to know that we rewrote parts of this episode to acknowledge the recent shooting in Buffalo, only to receive news today of yet another mass shooting, this time in an elementary school. I promise that we will find the time to talk about this story. But for now, we'd like to just start today's episode with a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims of the shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas.
If you are pumped enough fear about what might come marching down your street, what might happen to your kids, how you might be attacked, I assure you, you will go out and buy guns too.
This is Ryan Bussey. He's a former firearms executive who walked away after 2 decades in the business to write a tell-all book called Gunfight: My Battle Against the Industry That Radicalized America. Having lived on both sides of the debate, he's thought a lot about the Second Amendment and gun rights.
All of these rights and freedoms, they really don't mean anything without balancing responsibility. And to me, laws and regulations and social norms that enforce responsibility are not anti-gun. They're not anti-Second Amendment. They're just pro-democracy. Nobody argues, or no sane person argues, that we should be able to drive 90 miles an hour through a 25-mile-an-hour school zone because we have freedom and we're late for work. Why? Because it's irresponsible. And so for those that argue that reasonable restrictions and social norms that govern the way we use guns in society is somehow anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment, I find that to be insane.
Yeah, I'm an American who loves freedom, but I also respect that I can't just skip the line in Trader Joe's because I'm hangry. But when it comes to avid supporters of the Second Amendment, or 2A as it's known, they hold their freedom to bear arms to a higher standard because it is a privilege that is literally enshrined in our Constitution.
Those same people really, quote unquote here, shoot holes in a lot of their arguments because they accept massive restrictions on the Second Amendment every day and they don't whine about it. I mean, I don't hear them saying I should have an A-10 Warthog fighter jet in my garage. I don't hear them say I should have those drones that can wipe out towns from 35,000 feet and we should all have them. So in other words, they've already accepted that there is a line. There's a line in society where rights and freedoms have to be balanced with responsibility. So we're not talking about establishing some new system, some new set of lines. We're simply talking about sliding the line a little one way or a little the other way.
That sounds so reasonable when Ryan says it. But in practice, any attempt to pass gun legislation has been met with huge resistance. Now, most of that is the work of the NRA, who adopted an all-or-nothing approach over the last 25 years or so. They have pushed things so far that I'm often left asking, which rights are actually prioritized in the Constitution? The right to own a gun, or the right to live and prosper without the fear of being shot by a gun?
I just think our freedom versus responsibility thing right now is way out of whack in the country. Way, way, way out of whack. And we need a rebalancing. We don't do that, we're going to have anarchy.
It honestly feels pretty close to anarchy these days. Just as we were wrapping up production on this episode, news broke of yet another mass shooting, this time in Buffalo, New York. 10 people were killed, and 3 were injured by an 18-year-old motivated by hate and carrying a Bushmaster AR-15. The shooter drove hours to target a supermarket in the heart of a predominantly Black community. These stories make me so fucking sad and deeply, deeply scared for our country. And that's what we're talking about this week. Fear and hatred. It's honestly sad that this was already the plan for this episode. The news just happened to align, but it is not like it's some big coincidence. We knew going into this season that horrible tragedies involving guns would inevitably pop up because that is what happens here. That is what we have accepted as the status quo in this country, and it is terrifying. I know I have said this so many times this season, but fear is a very powerful tactic for all sides of the gun debate. Depending on who's stirring it up, it can make you want to buy a gun, stockpile an arsenal, or do everything in your power to wipe every single gun off the face of the planet. So this week, we are tracing all of this fear back to its roots to figure out who has been feeding this very dangerous fire and who has been benefiting from the flames. I'm Stephanie Wittels Wachs. This is Last Day.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective. On this show, we explore the struggles, the triumphs, the brights, and the darks we face as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our mental health, our neuroses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being feely humans. You, Me, Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today, everything, as it always is both horrible and wonderful and everything in between, because I'm here with co-founder and chief creative officer at Lemonada, author of Everything is Horrible and Wonderful, and host of the Last Day podcast. It's Stephanie Wittels Wachs. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, that was amazing. I loved that. Good job.
Thank you.
That was great.
I try to set it up so my guest can praise me right away, just like a minute into the pod.
Well, I feel like if I had to guess, you lean towards feely humans. So I can't imagine that any feely human would hear that spiel and not just gush at you. So it's a good strategy you have cultivated.
Yes, it's all about manipulation. Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, I'm so happy to have you, Stephanie. Grateful for you. We always kick off the show with an emotional check-in. We like to get right into it. So how are you really feeling?
Oh, man. I feel really bad today. I'm really sad today.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry maybe. We are talking the morning after the leaked SCOTUS news about Roe v. Wade. And I fell asleep at 9 o'clock last night with all my clothes on the couch, which is always the telltale sign that that I'm not okay sleeping. Whenever I have like monumental weeks, anniversaries of people's deaths, or I always sleep. I sleep, and I shut down physically. I shut down like a little computer. My battery has run out. So I'm really bummed today.
Yeah.
I'm really sad today. Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad today. That's how I'm really doing. I'm crying. I'm crying at you already. We just started.
Don't cry at me, cry with me. I see your sadness and feel that sadness and feel just like feeling it feels like a perversion of human nature. Like when things like this happen, it feels like something is wrong in this foundational makeup of what it means to be human. And I sort of fight the emotional response of like wanting to fucking just burn the ship down, And I've been dealing with this a lot lately. This fighting between, and I'm wondering what it's like for you, this fighting between wanting to burn it down and also stepping back into, okay, how can I fight this? How can I be useful? Because maybe burning it down is not useful. How can I continue this one heart at a time approach versus, in a world where, abortion rights are being stripped, like how do you face that?
This is my permanent state of being. I want to burn it all down. I get really sad and then I fight. That's my cycle. And I've done it so many times in my life, out of necessity, out of, this has unfortunately touched me in a personal way, and now I need to make things better. I'm like a doer chronically, probably to my own detriment. And I've, passed legislation. I've founded companies. I've built structures and things to deal with how much rage and sorrow I feel about the state of the human condition. So yeah, it's really, I don't know another way. And it's interesting that you talk about that because I was so angry last night and I was tweeting angry things. And, it's like usually the tweet is like, fuck this shit. And then there's like a more eloquent way that I say, fuck this shit. And then I usually talk about how the foundation is rotten to the core and how systemically we're all broken. And I actually don't think this is like a human problem. I think this is a systems problem. Like everything is broken. I think America is very broken. And there's great people here that have so many wonderful things to give, and it's hard to be a person in this universe that we live in. And then I feel sorrow, and I feel a tremendous amount of empathy. I'm like a true feeler. I'm like an open beating heart. And then I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next day, and the first thing I tweeted today was, okay, let's fight. So that's the cycle.
That feels right. I mean, you're honoring the anger of it, and that's important, right? Because it is angerifying. You're honoring maybe the despair of it, and you're honoring the fact that, hey, you do, as an individual person or as an individual connected to a community, have power. You do have choice. You do have the capacity to enact change. Wherein I think a lot of us can relate to this feeling of like, we get into the sadness, we get into the despair, and then we stay there. And I get that too. I've done that for maybe longer than a night, right? For a week or whatever, right?
For sure.
And I think each step in that process or cycle or whatever is valid.
Yeah, I think it's like you're honing in on something here. I mean, when my brother died, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I laid in bed for a year, and then I like got up and fought later. So I think there's a spectrum of how long you lay in despair. And for empaths, for feelers, for feely people, there's a lot of despair right now. And it's really overwhelming, I think, for types like us.
Yeah. How do we protect ourselves? How do we create boundaries?
I mean, it's really hard to.
Yeah.
And I think that my way of coping with it is to work and to do things and to activate. And that's to the detriment of myself and my family and the people who rely on me to be fully present. When I'm like activating and working and doing and changing things, like it sucks for my 8-year-old who just wants me to go out and play catch with her, which I do. But like, it's never enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like for her, like she wants it 24 hours a day.
Of course.
Like, justifiably so. She's 8.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you have other things to do?
She's an all-star softball player.
She's amazing
Yeah.
at softball, and I'm so glad that you have stalked me enough to know that. She's actually quite good, and it's very funny because her dad and I are both like artists through and through.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, she's really good. And we're like, okay, I don't know what you know, but I will take that in. Like when I taught theater, I would say to parents who were like totally not artists, I would be like, your kid is incredible. You need to know your kid is incredible. And they'd be like, okay, I feel like that. I feel like the role's been reversed. And I'm like, I mean, she's throwing a ball. What,
She's doing sports stuff.
I'll support her sports stuff.
Yeah.
It also is really fun to play catch. I will say.
It is fun.
As somebody who hasn't done it before, I actually really do enjoy it. And that is a way to distract yourself from the sorrow, like playing catch with an 8-year-old.
Distraction is a word, but I would also say joy is resistance as well, right? I would say it's resistance,
for sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we need it, because otherwise we do burn out. We do, self-destruct. Like, it's funny how, like, I think it's such a common human thing for a feely human to be a doer as well. Like you said, you describe yourself as a doer, and you've done and have achieved wonderful things. You've written a book, you founded a company, you've passed legislation, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a system too, right? Like, that's the system of capitalism, which is so dehumanizing.
Yeah. Oh my God, totally. And a survival mechanism, right? It's like, and there's so much, I did this episode with Dr. Gabor Mate like a couple years ago where he like totally nailed me for my addiction to work. And I came in there to be like, listen, dude, you're wrong. And he was like, let me tell you about you. As all great, world-renowned psychiatrists do.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that it's easy to look at somebody who's like achieving and succeeding and doing all the things that we all think we should be doing, and to be like, wow, that's all going great. And it's like, it's not, right? It's like it's like a symptom of a lot of things that have gone wrong. Do you know? Like, it's like the result of trying to right wrongs and trying to do something with all of the shit that I'm feeling and the darkness that I feel gripped by.
Yeah.
And, I could just as easily, as Dr. Mate explained to me, have channeled that through heroin or through other forms of addiction that people feel, right? Mine happens to be one that capitalism extols.
Were you a doer as a kiddo?
I started doing to cope with a lot of negative feelings. So it was like a very early coping mechanism that I've like continued with. It's worked for me. It's like gotten me great things,
Well, that's the funny thing about our holdovers from childhood, those they become deep. I mean, they start off as protection and armor and coping, and then they become deep instilled armor and like identity, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I am Stephanie and I am a doer. And then we believe it through and through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and there are great things that come out of it.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
But like, yeah, everything is horrible and wonderful, right? It's both.
That is it.
And it is amazing. Like I always wonder, like, what would it have been like if I didn't arm myself with this at such a young age? Like, would I be who I am now? Probably not. And then you get into the whole thing about like, well, tragedy makes us stronger, which I also think is like a tricky and a little bit dangerous place.
Yeah.
That we like to go as humans too.
Yeah. That's not too far from the look at the bright side a little bit.
Yeah.
Point your feet in the direction of happiness. That kind of
Totally.
thing. So as a kiddo, what were some of those negative feelings you were struggling with?
I mean, I talk about this on the show. This is why this Roe v. Wade thing is really personal to me. I had a very young pregnancy as a teenager, and I had an abortion as a teenager, and it was traumatic in every way that you would imagine that to be.
Yeah.
I did the math today. I lived in Texas, and abortion will be outlawed in Texas if this goes through. So I would have a 26-year-old now, right?
Wow.
And going through that experience at such a young age made me want to prove my value and to prove my worth. And again, I've always been a feeler, was born a feeler. Now that I have children, I can tell that you are truly born how you are, and you can fuck them up and ruin them, or you can sort of like let them be who they are and support who they are. And I was born a feeler, so it was an extra. I processed all of that in the moment, all of those feelings of shame and guilt and sorrow, and carried those with me, and then decided that I needed to show everybody that I was good. And the way that I would do that would be to work and succeed and achieve and be the best and be the lead in the play and get all the A's and be in the top 10 and go to the school and do the thing and be on the dean's list and make it. No. Classic. Yeah.
So
I also had a dad.
typical.
So typical. I'm like, seriously, so trite. My dad was like, let me see the report card. Let me see the A's. Let me see the, so like I had that too. He was like an older parent. So just like, yeah, I mean, and listen, I've done enough cognitive behavioral therapy over the years to know, like, I know all of my stuff. I know exactly why I do what I do. And there's moments.
You know it. Maybe emotionally you struggle with it.
I cognitively know it. And then these things happen where it just hits you to your core. And it's like, I got to go to bed, right?
Yeah. Shut this down.
But there's so many women today that are like having my experience. Like there's so many women today that are like, oh, I would have a this-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, this would have been my reality. And the truth is, like, my parents, because I had means, would have gotten me on a plane and I would have gone somewhere else to get that done, which would have been traumatizing in its own way, because you have to be like taken out of your state because you're not allowed to do this horrible thing where you live, which like further deepens the stigma and the shame that women feel and women carry. Like, I promise you, I had enough of it to go around. I've had enough of it to go around for my entire life, right? It's like it's in there. Thinking about having to leave where you live because you are going to do a bad, illegal thing on top of all of that is truly the stuff of torture. Like, that is, like, at best abusive, at worst true form of human torture. And so there's like a lot of women that are dealing with that today. A lot of people with uteruses dealing with that today. And, even if even if it would have been like taken care of, it's insane to think about like having to add that step to the entire ordeal.
It's horrifying.
And I also like know a lot of women who like me, have wanted pregnancies that have not worked and have had to
Yep.
do a medical procedure to take care of that, right? Like, that's also extremely painful. So there's like, I have 2 children that I deeply wanted. I have one child that I wanted that didn't make it, and I had to do a D&C, and I have another pregnancy that I was not ready to care for. And so I've had the full spectrum of the people with uteruses experience. And let me tell you, it is from personal experience, forcing somebody to do that, who doesn't want to, who can't, who isn't able. I'm just really in my feelings about it today. It's horrible.
It's a lot. So earlier, as it was happening, I was in my rage and in my feelings, and I stopped and sort of took pause because I was going to write something online about how abortion is an act of empathy. And I think that's a maybe sensational statement, but I think it's true. And by that, I mean, empathy is about curiosity. It's about nourishment. It's about examining our great wholeness as a human, all of the fallibility and all of it, in ourselves and in each other, right? And with that comes addressing assumption and bias and all these things that we sort of hold in our hearts and in our minds. And empathy at its root is love, right? And so there's nothing more, I think, loving than say, I am a human who has a uterus, who wants to get an abortion. I am doing the work of investigating what that means for me personally. I am sitting with all my feelings. I am being curious about what's happening. It's not an easy decision, so when these things come up, like, I think, and this is maybe the system part that you were referencing before, we want to make hard things, or really anything, binary. We want to make it this versus that, or right versus wrong, when really we need to be looking at all of these things, gun violence included, as you do so well on last day, through the lens of empathy, through the lens of this rich, fallible, beautiful, messy human nuance, right? And be patient with it and sit with it and allow for it, right? And also believe people, believe a person who has done that cognitive and emotional work, and now they're saying, I need an abortion, right? They're not saying, I just want to murder a baby today. That's not what they're saying, right? They're taking a very involved, deeply traumatic, deeply upsetting choice into consideration, right? And that feels empathetic to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and you mentioned gun violence too. It's like, yeah, we want to make everything very binary. We want to put it in a box. This is good or bad. This is black or white. This is good or evil, whatever it is. And nothing is ever that simple. Nothing is ever that simple. There's so much nuance. There's so much complexity. And, season 3 about guns, like, I was ready. I had my point of view, and I was like, this is right and you are wrong, and this is the way it should be. And holy moly, my mind has been cracked open. My eyes have been like pushed beyond their limits. I have internalized, and I think as empaths, we just going somewhere and being in somebody else's world, and being able to sort of like take a look at what their circumstances are was a true I am changed from this experience of working on the show. And I think that we can approach anything, abortion or anything supercharged, if we can approach it with that kind of lens, with that you are going to make the best decision for you based on your culture, based on your life experience, based on your lived experience, based on where you are in the country, your history, all of it. And that we need to trust whoever it is to make a decision that is best for them and meet them where they are and support them where they are and make sure that their actions aren't hurting other people, right? So like we or themselves.
Yeah.
So, that's where like we always talk about Last Day being a harm reduction podcast, that we are truly trying to mitigate harm, reduce deaths of despair, which, by the way, this abortion thing, like, you want to know what's going to go up? Like, deaths of despair will be going up. Internalized feelings of stigma and shame, and all of the yucky things that we feel. All that stuff is on the rise. It's going to go up higher, right? When you are not allowing people to like live how they want to live and experience the world the way they need to experience the world, like it's painful. So it's all like tethered together.
It is.
It's all tied up into a big old messy package.
Messy ball. Well, as my friend Jordan Scoville said, we're all just a bunch of wild meat sacks.
It's true.
What's so, I think, in sort of like talking about empathy for the past 4 or 5 years and thinking about it and leading workshops on empathy, what is clear to me is a lacking understanding of what empathy is. I feel like there is still this understanding that empathy is some sort of checkbox, when in reality, like truly meaningful change in life, activism, whatever, racism, systemic racism, like being anti-racist, etc., is ongoing and messy and scary and uncomfortable, and it's dismantling and it's shedding, and it's you going into a new situation and Last Day, having your armor up, having this expectation for how this is go, having this sense of I'm right, and allowing for that to be challenged and allowing for that to be scrutinized, right? That human capacity, we need to grow that. And I think it starts now for everyone listening, and it starts with kids, it starts with like, and obviously, when things of this nature, gun violence, gun deaths, abortion, like, it's maybe easier to tap into these types of conversations, but we need to like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like big conversations. We can practice empathy with a friend. We can practice by listening. We can practice by learning how to listen actively and be vulnerable and relate and not fix and not think about the things we want to say while they're saying their things, right? Like, these are little things that we can do every day. But I think just maybe it's the system, on a system level, like, this is not essential, I guess.
But like, think about how convenient it is for people in power to have everyone not listening to each other, and to have everyone not
that's depressing.
hearing each other and fighting at each other and yelling at each other. Because you know what? It takes the focus off of where it needs to be, which is like, we need to support human beings. We need to give them resources to thrive. We need to meet basic human needs so that we can meet, like, Maslow's pyramid, right? We need to like make sure everyone has food and shelter and like medical resources, including mental health and support. And we do not do that here. And all roads of Last Day lead back to the fact that we are not taking care of people. And if we don't take care of people, no one's going to be at our best. And so like, empathy and listening, that takes compassion, love. You have to have your basic human needs met to be able to get to that place, right?
Yes.
So it's not surprising to me that we can't do it. It's not surprising to me that it's like, like, I think these fires that are being stoked make it easier for the people in charge to not take care of people they need to take care of. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean,
that's my hot take for you.
Hot take,
day.
Hot take from Stephanie. It's depressing to think about that, and I think you're right. You're certainly right in regards to all roads leading to inequity. I think it was I was listening to the latest episode of Last Day this morning, and I forgot the name of the guy, but
Dariante.
He said, "This is the program that's in my head," and I was just like, "Whoa,
Yep.
that is true. This is what Dariante knows. This is the life he was given, and what a tragedy that is."
I know. It's when you break things down like that, and you look at, okay, here is a kid who grew up with one massive structure in his neighborhood, which was the penitentiary. And he was a 4-year-old seeing guys that look like him behind bars. And 20 years later, they're still there behind bars.
Yeah.
All of the resources in his neighborhood that I am used to, grocery stores, drugstores, pharmacies, YMCAs, activity centers, rec centers, parks, public spaces, have been shut down, abandoned, and all you see is this big looming structure. What do you think is going to happen? Like, it's like, of course, it's like, it's so, and I think we were so keen on telling Dariante's story because it's so easy for us to be like, that's a bad guy, right?
Yep.
We love this bad guy with a gun,
Well, that's
good
the
guy with a gun.
binary
Again, the
lens we
binary,
want,
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let's take a look at this, this bad guy. And let's take a look at like what influences have been in his life and have taken him to where he is today. And let's like really listen and be open to these. If you are 4 and you see a prison down the street, if you are 8 and you see somebody get shot and murdered on your porch, if you are 11 and you are having to steal tires off of a car to make money because you do not have any, and an older person says to you, let me give you a gun to help you do that better at 11, right?
Jesus.
Then you at 14 see another person dead on a train track. Then what do you
There's
think?
no hope there.
Like that is a hopeless terrain.
Yeah.
And like we don't want to deal with that. Like when we have these fights about like mass shootings and AR-15s and all this bullshit that's actually not what's going on, it is such a grand distraction from like the things that actually are killing people, which is poverty, which is racism, which is inequity. It is like so clear to me. And even when I went to Montana, right? Like the first episode I was with a full-blooded Trump supporting gun maker who I have nothing in common with, who I would have argued with on Twitter and blocked and all of that. And we had a grand old time. We had so much fun together. I enjoyed him so, so much. I connected with him very deeply. I spent 48 hours with him. And it's so funny. My lead producer, Jackie, she's like, it's almost like you like have a Stockholm syndrome thing where like we would get in the car afterwards and I'd be like, oh, he's so great, And they'd be like, no, like, Steph, like, did you hear what he said about X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, yeah. But like, he's so funny, right? And he's so, and like, that's the empathy part is that like, I can fall in love. And this is how I interview. This is I have no other my method is very simple. Yep. I listen and I fall in love with whoever I'm talking to. This is literally like how it is. And so it takes like 6 hours later. I remember we like drove away and we like were at dinner that night and I felt like somebody had like slapped sense into me again. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like there are problems with this man. There are holes in what he's saying. But it's really easy for me to sit in a space, to share space with somebody and like try to see the good in them. That's like,
important.
That's like, yeah.
That's you seeing shared humanity. And that's where we start, right?
We have to start there. Yeah. And that's like, it's so simple, right? And everyone's like, oh, are you going to like crucify the 2A people in Last Day? And it's like, no, that's actually not an effective strategy to save lives, which is what I want. So I don't want to like argue with people. I want to actually decrease rates of gun deaths. I want to decrease rates of overdose. I want to decrease rates of suicide. So me not being open to exploring a point of view that is different than mine because somebody lives in the Mountain West. Like, I live in California, okay? I'm very different. So my set of experiences are very different than Wayne's set of experiences. So obviously, this is a guy who grew up in the military with a very abusive father. His mother was murdered at 29 by a domestic abusive partner. He did body recovery for a living, right? Like, yeah, that dude's experiences are very different than mine, right? Like, I went to a performing arts high school, okay, in the middle of like a giant metropolitan area in a gay neighborhood, right? Like, that's what I was exposed to. Yeah. So I think we have to like take people at like meet people where they are and say, like, this is your set of experiences. This is Dariante's set of experiences. This is Wayne's set of experiences. And what was really amazing and fascinating is that Wayne and Dariante share a lot in common. You wouldn't think that they do, but there is a kill or be killed mentality that I have been fortunate to not ever have to face. Yep. Ever. Yeah. And I need to understand that. Like, that's a place of privilege. So I can like sit on the outskirts of this debate and yell about how like mass shootings are going to, take us all down. But when you look at the data and you look at like the reality, that's actually not what's going on. Right. So
I love all of that.
Am I soapboxing too much?
No, I love.
Should I rein it in?
This is the #1 soapbox podcast. You said something very important, which is you want to be useful in this fight, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so much performative stuff that happens on Twitter in the world, right? When it comes to hard conversations, when it comes to ideas that challenge us, we want to define it in the binary terms, but also in the simplistic terms that are never very useful. And I want to be useful in this life. I want to really make a difference. Mm-hmm. And so, like, for you, Stephanie, for all of you listening, like, think about how you can be useful, like truly useful, not in like what you share necessarily on Instagram or whatever, but how can you enact change within your community? I think like it goes back to that for me, is like the power of that collective body and thinking, just truly embodying in heart and mind how we make impact in the world, intent and impact all day, every day. And I don't know, it just feels like I recently left my day job.
Congrats.
Thank you. It was
I love leaving day jobs.
It was a weird experience, honestly, and it was a bit dehumanizing, and it was a bit upsetting in the fact that I felt very let down, and I felt very unseen, and I thought like my way and how I showed up in the world, which is big and feely and passionate about human rights and stuff like that, ultimately, now I see it now, like, wasn't comfortable for them, and they wanted to squash that. And so that feels hard. And I don't know why I brought that up, but like that's a piece of it too, is like we need to be willing to lose our jobs for this stuff. Like we need to lead with our hearts in big and bold ways. Because that's, I mean, sorry, I'm like all over the place. I'm on my soapbox now. So I took your soapbox from you, Stephanie.
I love that. And we're soapbox exchanging here.
It's the big ways, but it's also the small ways. It's all of the ways.
Well, the Great Resignation, you are in good company, right? So it seems like what I saw happen is that we had a virus that was killing people. Lots of people died. Lots of people were sick. Life and death became front and center for lots of people who never had to grapple with life and death. And then when you're grappling with life and death, you realize what matters, what doesn't matter.
Very true.
And so I think like this perspective that you're talking about is actually sort of universal right now. I think there's tectonic plates are shifting a little bit for lots of folks right now in ways that they never kind of had to do.
I see that.
I quit my day job when my brother died because I had a life and death thing happen.
Yeah.
Like, and I think quitting, like realizing the way that I always explain it is that when you suffer any sort of loss or something that really shakes you to the core, it's like your structure is bombed and you have nothing left, and you're just sort of like sitting on rubble and nails, and it's uncomfortable, and then you have to, at some point, whenever you're ready, decide that you want to get up and rebuild, and the rebuilding is where you go, okay, like, what do I want this to look like? And I think a lot of people are rebuilding their lives right now. And I think a lot is broken right now. So people are rebuilding their lives and looking at the world and being like, how can I make it better? Because like, this ain't working.
Very true.
So.
And part of that rebuilding is like, maybe we shed some of our armor in that process, and we're like, oh shit, I didn't see this over here. I'm seeing it for the first time. Like, that's not great.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely.
So we're talking about a lot of stuff that's heavy and and universal and collective and all this stuff. Like, I wonder for you, in going through this process of last day, and obviously the loss of your brother, which is so fucking hard, and I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Sucked.
So sucked. How are you feeling after doing this show, this latest season of Last Day, and in the world as a mom and a pandemic and all this, millions of people lost? What does hope look like for you? Like, how do you define that?
Great. I feel great. Everything's great.
Everything's horrible, wonderful.
Everything's great. It's so funny. I am not a bummer. I make a lot of jokes. I make more jokes than not. I'm mostly singing. I'm not doing that to you right now.
Love
I
silliness.
didn't, I would give birth to you or marry you.
Oh my gosh. I'm here for singing of any kind.
Truly.
We can do
my
Little
family
Mermaid.
is like,
whatever you want.
Why? I do sing probably 80% of what comes out of my mouth. So I am very silly, and I love very hard. I love very hard. I'm a hard lover.
I feel that.
I don't mean it like that. That came out wrong.
That's the quotable for this podcast.
I'm a hard lover.
Stephanie Wittels Wachs.
I have this amazing. I'm surrounded by great people. I have like great human beings in my orbit.
Yes.
And that helps like tremendously. We also like moved in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
And like really did this thing where we crafted the life we wanted type shit. We were like, let's manifest what we want in this world. Then we did. And so that's been really fun. And I like got this really old house that had been dilapidated and not loved on hard. And I have loved on it hard. And, like I've been jokingly posting about being a lifestyle blogger, which is just truly could not be further from the truth. But like decorating the house and figuring out like how I want it to look. And, I've got like these amazing, great kids. My kids are so funny. Thank God. Otherwise, like they'd be out. And we do a lot of like dancing and, it's hard. Like, I think, like we talked about my daughter's softball career. That's been really amazing to see her starting to like thrive and figure out what she loves in this world, which is not the stuff I love. Just like surrounding yourself with great people who you love is big.
Yes.
I get to do work that I love.
Very important.
Which is also big. When I was doing work I didn't love, which sounds like you were just doing, it was really damaging. So, I think like, I had this whole fight with my husband like a little bit ago because somebody was like, "You are so optimistic," and
To you, they
like,
said that to you.
to me,
Okay.
yeah, like you're such an optimist, right? Like you are like somebody who wants to make the world better and sees that it can be, and then goes after it and does it. That's like supreme optimism. And then I like told my husband, he was like, LOL, right? Like I'm so like glass half empty, snarky cynic, you know. But I do think that despite my my dark exterior, my black cloak, I do sort of like want to make the world better.
You do.
And I
you
think
are.
that keeps you going, right? Like
It does.
like everything fucking sucks right now. Like let's just be perfectly clear. The world is a fucking shit show right now. It is insane. Like I just can't believe it. I can't believe how much is coming at us all the time.
Yeah.
Again, a person with privilege, if I'm feeling it, like, oh my gosh, so many people are suffering right now. So that's a thing that gives me hope, right? I'm not people suffering. That does not give me hope. But the idea that we could make life suck less for people, which is like the entire mission of Limonada, the company that I started is like, I don't know, let's keep fighting and I don't know. What do you think? How are you?
No,
Do you have hope?
I love all of
What do
that.
you
And
think?
that feels that's, you know, the way you're describing hope feels very grounded in who you are, which feels great. It feels accessible. It feels like daily. It feels like, oh, I see hope in my kids. I see hope in silly conversations with my husband. I see hope in singing, you know, like that to me feels very human and loving.
And my daughter would be upset if I didn't mention my plants. I am a
Okay.
like rabid plant person.
So my partner the last 2 years, pandemic plants, I'm like upstairs in our little Airbnb, like our house built in the 30s, old cabin, 720 square feet. It's just the two of us and two dogs, but maybe 60 plants in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Great.
Also have two dogs. Do you want? I will rescue a dog. Show
Yes.
me the dog. I will take the dog.
Yep.
Yeah. So many plants. The thing with plants. Let me just go here for 1 second. It's very important people
It's
understand
the #1 plant podcast too.
that you can take a plant that is not thriving and then take care of it and then watch it grow. And that is holy shit. That is the return on that investment is very high.
Okay.
Like
You get a lot out of it emotionally.
I get a lot out of it. And my kids make fun of me. They're like, why are you talking to these plants? And I'm like, because they need me to take care of them. And I like propagate them, you know, like I cut them off and then I grow the roots. And, and I've got this one that has been very stubborn and doesn't want to grow. And I have watched it, like it's just like stubborn fucking plant. I've watched it like this little green thing. And finally this week it finally came up and did I win the lottery? Like that joy that I felt about this leaf. And like maybe that's what we need to be focusing on, right? Like I will focus on how the world is terrible, but I also have been putting a lot of energy into this leaf. And
there's a great analogy there too. I do.
True.
I mean, truly, I think like I've always said it, we're reflections of the universe. Like there's no greater example than like a human tending to their plants and the patience and the care and the attention and the frustration of that experience. It's very beautiful.
I feel it big.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm so pro plant. I'm so pro plants. I think if you, and even if you think you're not a plant person, I felt like I wasn't. And then during the pandemic, I was like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? I guess I'll just become a plant person.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any friends here when I moved here. I didn't know anybody. So I was like, I'll just befriend these plants and, you know, like fill my house with like green living things.
Have you named them? Have you named your plants?
I don't name them.
Okay.
No, I do not name them. I'm not gonna go there. But I will say, my kids know now all the names of all the plants. So like, we were in LA last week, and I had to work, and so Mike took the kids to like a botanical garden, and they both were screaming, Monstera, Monstera. Like, and they can name all of them. And I'm like, my work here is done.
Nice.
Like they, like this 4-year-old knows the name
The
of
next
a Monstera
generation
plant.
of she'll be superstar softball player /
Totally.
plant person.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's what I can do.
Yeah, it's a garden downstairs, and it is lovely, and it's I love being around it. I'm a nature person. Mama Nene soothes my soul, and I'm also grateful that I don't have to do all the tending too. That's Jessica. Yeah,
but the finding those little things that can bring you joy,
maybe slow you down a bit too.
Slow you down, get you out of your own fucking shit, right? Like get me out of my head. Mm-hmm. I'm a caretaker. Like I'm a nurture. I'm a fight for my people and my plants, but like it forces my attention outward, you know? And I, as somebody who like has always struggled with like anxiety and all this shit that's happening in my own head, being able to put my attention outward. You mentioned active listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my first career was like I taught acting, and I taught acting for like 10 years at a performing arts high school.
Cool.
Like 2 amazing kids, amazing talents. And I would make them in acting class, like the first semester, they couldn't talk. No one could talk. They could only listen. And like the first day of class was always like, go outside, take a notebook and just like write down everything you hear. And then like the whole, and then they were like, when do we get to act? I'm like, no. Like this is some Mr. Miyagi shit, but you are not allowed to talk because it cannot be about you.
Yeah.
You have to listen to what's coming at you. Uh-huh. And that like practice, it's so funny. Like when you said that, I was like, yeah, it's so interesting that I have been like listening and trying to put my attention outward for decades, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that the empathy piece there, like you can't make that link stronger. Yep. It's like, I don't know if I said that sentence right, but they are inextricably linked, empathy and listening.
Oh, yeah.
Getting outside of your own head, you know? So anyway, plants.
Plants. So when's the Lemonada plant podcast going to happen?
I mean, I've been
trying
asking for it. Yeah. Everyone knows when I retire, my dream career is I want to go work at a nursery. Like no people, just plants. Would be an absolute dream job. Yeah. Like nobody needs anything from me but the plants. Yeah. The plants need me. Yeah. This is where I want to be in a few decades.
I hear you. So speaking of Lemonada, let's talk about it a little bit because, you all are doing amazing work right now and doing a lot. Like you have a ton of new shows. Obviously, Last Day, season 3 is happening now. You have Being Trans, Burnout is coming, a bunch of other things. Like how is that feeling to you with all of this stuff?
It feels horrible and wonderful. It feels like
just always plugging your books, Stephanie.
Listen, I ABP, always be plugging. No, it's like incredible. Like we are making great stuff with great people, and it is our mission because it truly started from both of our brothers died. That's why the company started. Yeah. There's like a lot of perspective in that. It's like very clear, like this fits and this doesn't. We want to make people's lives better. And like everything that we do, I think does that. I think so it's great to be mission oriented and to feel like the work is making a difference. And I get emails and DMs and tweets from people that are like, this show saved my life. And I'm like, I have a theater degree, but that is so great. I'm so glad. And I'm glad that my work is like impacting people positively. That's amazing. And I'm also like really fucking tired. Yeah. Like I'm like really fucking tired. It's really hard. It's really hard to run a company. Yeah. It's really like, I'm like a firefighter and a mother and a therapist and
all the things.
Life coach and a story editor and, a lot of things. But it's mostly wonderful, you know? And I think like the benefit is that we have a lot of people in it with us. So it feels like we've got this great army. Everyone is like very passionate. And it's like a lot of very kind people. We don't hire any jerks.
No jerks. Yeah.
No jerks allowed. Yeah.
Well, it's you know, being a fan of many of the podcasts from Lemonada, it's very clear that the root is empathy, that the root is care and collective and attention and helping people. And it's really inspiring, and it helps me daily. Right. And so you should feel proud for what you and the team have accomplished. It's wonderful. Do you know, obviously it's been a big year so far for you all, you know, do you have like big goals you have in mind that you haven't yet achieved that you want to achieve?
I mean, we have big, huge goals. We want to be a household name, you know, by 2024. We got big strategic goals. We want to get our stuff in front of as many people as we can. And, you know, I feel like extremely lucky that we get to do this work. I really do. Yeah. I feel like making the world better is something that we need right now. We are trying, you know, we're like in the next phase where we are going to be putting stuff into TV sets and putting stuff into different mediums and formats and, you know, just growing and working with amazing talent. You know, in the beginning, I felt like we had to kind of hustle like, hey, do you want to come work for this little network that doesn't exist? And now people are coming to us and we're like, what?
Super cool.
You want to work with us? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. And so, yeah, I think that there's endless potential. Unfortunately, the world doesn't seem like it's going to be any sort of utopia anytime soon. So there's plenty of stuff to tackle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's been amazing. And I appreciate those nice things that you said about it.
Of course. And I want you all to thrive and survive and achieve great things. And I also am aware of, you know, you said it, you're a doer and you're an achiever and you're doing all the things. And I've been in startup sort of companies that burn themselves out. And, you know, I remember talking to Emily McDowell about this experience of like creating M and Friends and then feeling, succumbed by it and overwhelmed by it all, and then eventually selling it and leaving it, and that being a big grieving process. And I'm mindful of that too, and I hope you are as well.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think like, again, when you start a company from a place of like devastation and grief and loss, you do have perspective. Like we said on, I don't know if it was the last episode, you know, there's no such thing as a podcast emergency. And we really approach our culture at the company with like, please take time off. Please do not work on the weekends. Please take paternal leave. Please take bereavement leave. Yeah. Like the humanity always has to come first. And even my partner and I, it's like, when are you taking your vacation this summer? You know? And I'm like, I'm not taking it. Yes, you are. When are you taking it? Go, put it on the calendar, right? So there's like a lot of intention. We are trying to be intentionally better. We are trying to not burn out, and know very, very deeply that it could happen. But hiring the right people, taking on projects that matter, making sure we are taking time off, nurturing ourselves, nurturing our plants, you know, and our children, the human ones, helps. So, and also Jess and I are both like working moms. Like we both have kids. Like I was with her the last weekend and she said she still takes her kids to school every other day, right? Like every other day, she and her husband, they trade off. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, way to brag. My husband gets all the credit for taking the kids to school. But I think doing those kinds of things and trying to model that behavior from the top down, as challenging as it is, as much as I want to send an email at 11 o'clock, going like, this isn't great. Yeah. Why do I want to show like my staff that like I want to send an email at 11 o'clock? Like that sucks. Don't do that. So just trying to like do it better.
I'm so happy to hear it. It's hard to be a leader, and I think modeling good behavior and just having a level of vulnerability to like your humanity is a crucial part in leadership, I believe, because I think there's a certain, even in like the most sort of like heart leading, aspiring, like just organizations, there's hierarchies sort of happen, right? And then there's certain like a psychological way that we humans sort of investigate that for ourselves, and it can become hard. It can become dehumanizing. It become, I'm scared to ask this question, right? So like, you know this stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like very specific core values. Empathy is one of them. We've got 3, right? Like empathy is huge for us. So like showing humanity, showing vulnerability, like the first episode of the show, I'm like weeping openly, like the first show we ever did. So I start every interview with people who come on my show. Like, I've done this. I've put myself out there. I understand how hard it is to grapple with your own demons, like in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
Like having that kind of lived experience and saying like, this is really hard and we will be loving and like, you can trust us and no one's trying to exploit anything here. Like that also, we just launched Being Trans, you mentioned, which was phenomenal. It was like such an amazing event. And the cast said, the media has really treated us poorly, right? I mean, we've been sort of programmed to not trust the media. And they all said like, this was an incredible experience and we trusted these producers implicitly and always felt safe and always felt taken care of. And I'm like, dude, that's it, right? Like that's like the whole point. And if we can keep doing that, then I think we're going to be in good shape. If we can scale that and not lose that, right? That's really important to us. So that humanity piece is so tied into what we do at Lemonada.
Yeah. To see and be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
I love Lemonada, number 1 fan.
Thank you.
So let's transition into the section of the podcast where we talk about our empathy heroes. So the folks in our lives who are empathetic, feely, compassionate, inspiring, could be people we know personally, could be characters from stories even, Stephanie. I'll go first to give you a moment to think about yours. So my empathy heroes this week is the Abortion Access Front. They're doing wonderful work in combating some of this nonsense that's happening, and they're actually like calling on us to maybe even like in states that are that abortion is being censored, take people to abortion clinics, like finding safe people to like take people to abortion clinics. Like I want to like. I'm in California, but like I saw someone I follow online like say something about, hey, I said it before, but if you're in one of these states and you want to come visit me in California, you can. And so I'm saying that to my community now. Like if you are feeling unsafe, if you're feeling scared, we have an Airbnb that's beautiful and we'll just block off some time. So let me know. But Abortion Access Front, I'll make sure to include the link in the show notes at feelyhuman.co. How about you?
That's great. I have a lot of friends who do that in Houston, actually, who drive women. And yeah, agree. Here. Those are the best folks.
Yeah.
I think that I keep trying to like broaden my scope, but I just keep coming back to my daughter. Which sounds like such a cop-out, but
No,
like she truly, like she just was born with a heart that just doesn't stop. And both my kids are hard of hearing. And I think that early on I was like really upset about that, right? And she got her first pair of hearing aids at 6 weeks old. And I think because she like has experienced this feeling of being different. And if there's like a new kid in class, if there's like, she's always the first to go sit next to them. You know, she's always the first to be like, and
God.
I'm just like, I know. I mean,
She knows
like,
what
and-
it means to feel a little bit othered, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
she also like will say to me, she'll be like, I have a new kid in class. I sat with them, Mom. Like
It's beautiful.
like, and I'm like, that's just everything to me. So I just think she has this, she was born as a 45-year-old spirit animal of the world. And I just always want to be more like her, and just the amount of love and compassion she innately has. And I want to like protect that and keep that safe. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, my little empath is my little empathy hero for sure.
Little Iris. I love it.
Little Iris. She's the best.
It's the best. Well, Stephanie, where can the Feely humans out there connect with you?
You can find me ranting on Twitter at Wittels Stephanie. You can find me being a little less ranty on Instagram at Wittels Stephanie. You can find Lemonada Media on everything. And then, of course, if you want to listen to Last Day, that would be awesome. We work really hard on that show. We did the math once. It takes us 187 hours to make one episode that is 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it takes a lot of work. And we've been doing this season for a year. So we've been doing a lot of like really deep reporting on this season, and we're really proud of it. So look us up Last Day, wherever you get your podcasts, and then subscribe and then tell everyone you know.
Yes, do that. That's how it happens. And all those links will be in the show notes at feelyhuman.co. Stephanie, this was a delight. Thank you for being a part of it.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun. We went places.
We did. We went all
got
the
into
places. All the horrible and wonderful places.
Well, look at you. You're promoting my book.
Always promoting your book. Yeah. Always be promoting
ABP.
ABP.
Always be
ABP
plugging.
SB, Stephanie's book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Yes,
I had a good time.
I did as well. And to you listeners, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's you, me, empathy.